You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
What a beautiful day for horses in the morning.
You are listening to the #1 horse podcast in the world. Here is your entertaining look at the horse world and the people in it.
Well, good Wednesday morning, everybody. I am Glenn the Geek in Ocala, Florida.
And I'm Jamie Jennings in Norman, Oklahoma. You're listening to Horses in the Morning on the Horse Radio Network for Wednesday, October 2nd, episode 3532. Good morning, horse people.
Hello, horse world. It's Wednesday. A weekend with your horses. We'll help you get there with more silly horse talk on Horses in the Morning.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today, we are going to give you a quick update on the relief efforts. What Jamie talks about, identify the helpers. We're going to identify some helpers today.
Look for the helpers, according to Mr. Rogers.
And we're going to talk about the relief efforts for the hurricane. Jamie got an amazing gift from one of our favorite companies, and we're going to have somebody on to talk about that. Tom, is it Perischino?
Yes, Tom Perischino with the Right Horse Initiative, my Right Horse ASPCA. He's going to come on and just, I just have some questions. I just want to pick his brain a little bit.
Okay, very good. And do you have weird news?
Yeah, we have definitely some weird news.
Okay,
oh,
good.
God. I read one to Chad. He's like, no. So, yeah, we'll have that one on.
Okay.
That'd be good.
All right, we'll do a quick auditor post show. We haven't even talked about that. We have so much going on today in our lives. It's funny, hosts still have lives, and we have a lot going on. That matter of fact, right now, there's somebody crawling around Jamie's roof right outside her window.
Yeah, this crazy man was just outside my window on the second story, and it's like a sleek metal corrugated thing he's walking around on. And now he just finished checking our roof. Now he's going to go to Ginger's house, and then he's going to go to the barn and check the barn roof, and then he's going to go to all of my sheds, all of my outside sheds, and check all of those out. I'm like, I'm glad somebody does that job because it ain't going to be me.
Before we get to Helene update, I wanted to tell you something funny that happened yesterday. So our horses have been pretty cooped up. I mean, we were at the rental. We had teeny weeny little paddocks for them. They have not been out together. So it's been a couple of months since they were able to stretch their legs. Well, our back part of our property, we now fenced in so that we could put them out. There's too much grass to put them out there for a long time. But we thought, let's let them go out and play, get it out of their system. So yesterday afternoon, we put them out there. They ran for at least 10 minutes solid. Just ran and ran and ran and ran. And it was so funny because Scooter is very dainty on his feet. He's a hackney. So, there's branches down and things like that. And he's leaping over them, looking all cute with his tail up, all hackney-like. And then Nigel comes he's like a freight train. He doesn't pick up his feet for anything. He runs through stuff and he's breaking branches and he crashes and there's nothing light or flexible about him at all. And Scooter definitely wins the race. I mean, Nigel's double his size, but Scooter is so fast. And problem is, Nigel tries to keep up for a long period of time. And you could tell 5 minutes into this, Nigel was done. He was wearing out, but he was not going to quit. So he started cutting them off, taking the shortcuts. Still couldn't catch Scooter because Scooter's very fast. And this morning, neither one of them can barely walk. They're both so sore this morning. I said, Jennifer, look at your horse. He is so sore this morning for keeping up with Scooter yesterday. But it was, it always is kind of fun to see them out when they haven't been able to stretch their legs in a while.
Yeah. I know. I have a horse that worked yesterday that just got here for training, and someday I'll tell you about it. But that horse is fairly sore this morning as well. And it did it to itself.
Well, they usually do, don't they? I mean, when you're thinking about it, yeah. So let's give a quick Helene update here. Helena, who was on the show on Monday in Aiken, South.
This is so confusing to go from Helene to Helena.
I know.
What?
I did tell her I'm glad it wasn't an A at the end of the name of this hurricane, or she would be forever remembered as the worst hurricane in history. So Helena, who was on Monday from Aiken, South Carolina, got power yesterday afternoon after 6 days. And I know many of our listeners are still without power. We've been hearing from in the auditor room and stuff. And from experience, it really starts to suck, Jamie, after about 3 days. You can put up with the first 3 days without power, but it really
How many
gets
days until you
sucky.
stop flipping on the light switches? You know, like when the power's off for
that's
me,
about
I just
3 days. That's all about 3 days.
3 days.
Yeah. And then, you can put up without a shower for 3 days, and then, you're using up your water, and now you got to go find. It just sucks after 3 days. So our thoughts and prayers are out to everybody out there. I have a couple of stories here, again, focusing on the helpers. I've seen so many horrific stories in the last day from my Facebook friends who are really affected by this in Florida and in the Carolinas. But there are also good ones of lots of people and horses and pets being found alive, in some cases miles downstream. There were lots of good stories like that, too. The Mountain Mule Packer Ranch, I talked about them the other day, had a successful day yesterday. They were able to bring mule loads of food and supplies to many residents in Black Mountain. Apparently, it all went smoothly. They can get places, obviously, than trucks and vehicles can't get. And today, they're going to be bringing more food to a town that 30% of its residents are trapped and can't get out. So they're going to be going into them. Helicopter pilots from all over the area descended on a regional airport that's become a coordination hub to fly food and water into the mountains, like dozens of helicopter pilots, private helicopter pilots. And the word went out in the mountains to clear a spot and put an X, a great big X on the ground. And that tells the helicopter pilots, one, you need help, and two, we can land here safely, and that's what they're doing. They're looking for the X's, and they're bringing food and sometimes evacuating people out and with pets out. I saw an older woman and her dog getting into the back of a helicopter. So good on them. Of course, the Cajun Navy's there. How many times have we talked about the Cajun Navy over the years? They're there doing their relief efforts. Tryon International Equestrian Center, one of my friends reported yesterday, she was there, that they're housing and feeding hundreds of first responders, search and rescue, and all sorts of helpers from as far away as Arizona and New York. There is a field hospital under construction there right now, too. So apparently it's become a great big hub for everything rescue. And today they're going to begin large distributions of water, food, animal feed, water supply for animals, and that kind of thing. The other one that really has been heartening for me is the Sandhills Pony Club from day one started putting relief efforts together. They're out of Pine Bluff, North Carolina, which is actually more toward the eastern side of the state. But they stepped up immediately and with days had a caravan of a dozen vehicles and trailers that headed into a livestock yard that's in the western part of the state. And the livestock yard from there has ATVs that are taking hay and whatever supplies that are needed for animals out into the mountains because they can get there. So this pony club has really become a hub for hay and for rescue supplies for large animals. And good on them. I mean, that's really cool that this little pony club stepped up. They've already delivered more than 1,000 bales of hay, and apparently it's all been donated. And apparently the donations are coming in like crazy. And the reason I'm bringing this up, if you're near Pine Bluff, North Carolina, they're looking for volunteers because apparently it's a pretty small pony club and they're already overwhelmed. And the same lady's been running it, and they have three people that are really helping. I saw a caravan of a dozen vehicles heading out, and they're trying to do that every day, make a run to the western part of the state. So they need volunteers. You can check out the Sandhills Pony Club Facebook page if you're anywhere in the area, and you can help volunteer. They'd like to keep the caravans going, but these people have lives too, so they need help. So I just wanted to mention that.
Oh, man. When I did the animal rescue after Katrina, I'm thinking about if they have Pony Club kids out there, the post-traumatic stress that I suffered just being there was, I mean, it's devastating. And these people are so brave, and they're just heroes that are making their way out there into this. And these kids and the Pony Club, oh man, my heart goes out to them. And just witnessing what is happening. It's like I don't have the bandwidth to process all the trauma that our entire country and the world right now, but the country is feeling, and just knowing, I mean, the western side of Florida, like, good Lord, it is unbelievable. And then the fact that this is happening in the mountains of North Carolina, like, they never thought they'd get hit by a hurricane. I mean, my gosh, my heart goes out to everybody involved. And thank you for all the helpers that are out there. And my heart, we're praying for you, all the people that are stuck in this and living this nightmare right now.
You want to switch and talk about something that happened to you yesterday? We'll do some Daily Whinnies.
Daily Whinnies.
All right, let's do it. Do you know what people are still having?
Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
We have two auditor birthdays, Laura Bannon and Lorraine Peachy. You know, Lorraine has been a listener since we started this show. So happy birthday to both of you. We also have a brand new auditor, Suzanne Mistrick. Suzanne, welcome. And I know that she found the auditor page this morning. I think you're going to love it there. And welcome. We're glad to have you.
Got to give a daily Whinnie out to this company. Oh my gosh. So when I was teaching this clinic a couple weeks ago, one of the horses that came in for training from Horse and Hound Rescue had his racing plates pulled and was just unable to walk. And so I had my farrier out and he's like, there's not even hoof to put a nail in because their feet are so flat and small when they're racing. So he's like, there's just not even any room to nail a shoe on it. So like, basically, what am I going to do? Well, Janet, who was here, had some Cavallo hoof boots. And so she showed me how to put them on and we put him on this thoroughbred and oh my God, he could walk. Like it was amazing. So unbeknownst to me, Ginger and Janet wrote a letter to Cavallo detailing what I did with these horses and what had happened. And yesterday in the mail, you could have knocked me over with a feather. This box came on a FedEx truck to me, and I opened it up, and there are 14 boxes of Cavallo hoof boots. Ginger and Janet wrote a letter to the company, told them what I did, and that's what they did was they sent me an entire box
I'm gonna interrupt you there because I have to make a phone call.
Okay.
I know you hate this, but I do it to you anyway. So I'm going to make a phone call, and you can thank Cavallo in person.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding me.
No, you're going to thank them in person because they're friends of mine. Let's see if we can get... Carole Herder is the one who founded Cavallo.
Oh.
Hello, Carole. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Glenn and Jamie, and thank you so much. You're on the air, by the way, so thank you so much for joining me again. It's so good to talk to you. But Jamie has something she wants to say to you.
Carole, that was so sweet what you guys did. I didn't even know you were coming on. Oh my gosh, I have had just a tough couple weeks and just seeing that box and package of somebody who cares as much as you guys do about these horses, it just warmed my heart. Thank you so much for the donation of boots.
Well, that's very nice to hear, Jamie. We do the best we can. And, just earlier this year, we gave away our 1,000th pair of boots to rescues, associations that need help and certainly horses who need to be rehabilitated. We don't often get such an enthusiastic thank you, so that means a lot to us.
Well, thousands of people, Carole, are hearing this thank you. So
not everybody calls you up and puts you on a podcast. I didn't even know that this was happening, and just to get the box yesterday, and I'm like, what is happening? And then Ginger told me about the letter she wrote and to you guys, and that was just, you know what? There's people in the world who don't do things like that. Like what you did was so above and beyond as a company. I just can't thank you enough. What a giant heart you guys have. And that was incredibly kind. These racehorses, so many of them come to me with just these tiny little feet and they're just not comfortable. And now you've allowed me to continue with their training and their comfort. And it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, they need a lot of help. And all our girls here have had experiences with putting horses down, lame horses, such emotional times. And we maintain that we want to give personal customer service and make sure that we help horses, one horse at a time. And I'm so glad that you're able to rescue these guys who just, some of them end up being disposable, they end up being commodities. And so good luck to you. I hope that you can do the best with these guys, and I'm happy to know that our boots will help you a lot.
Carole,
I do want...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I just do want to say one thing, because we have an exciting new development where we are placing sensors in the bottom of our hoof boots that will predict lameness. So it's like ground force reaction, it's like weight distribution, it's the way the foot falls, and it's all through artificial intelligence, and it will give people an indication of what's going on with their horses well before it's visible to the naked eye.
Carol, tell everybody what company you're working
with. We're doing the best
with
we can.
for that. Are you allowed to say?
We're working with Continental. Yeah, we're working with Continental, a German company
the
out of
tire
Hanover.
company, right?
You might know them because they make tires.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been collaborating with them for the last 4 years, and we've just been in Germany at the first production run. And it's very exciting. So these sensors, we started with 3, now there's 7, and they're in the Trek model boots. So you can look to that in 2025. Yeah,
wow, that's amazing. That's going to be such an innovation for the industry and for people like doing what Jamie does too. She's humble. She's not going to tell you that her efforts over the last many years she's retrained and adopted out almost 200 horses. Many of them, by the way, to our listeners.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want some. Well
Girl.
done, Jamie. But way to go. You know, I just meet the most amazing people in this industry. I used to be in the fashion business, and it's completely different. You know, this horse world, involved with animals, love our horses. We're down home, honest, heartfelt people. And it's just so nice to hear these stories. Bringing a tear to my eye. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm lucky enough to partner with a organization called Horse and Hound Rescue Foundation, and they get the horses donated to them, and then 2 at a time they come to me for training, and we adopt them out, and it's just the most satisfying, fun job I've ever had, and I'm just so proud to be a part of it, and I'm proud to partner with companies like you who see the big picture, and you didn't have to do that. You didn't. You could have. Somebody could have sent me a brochure on how to buy them, but no, you just went and sent me a whole ton of them, and that's just unbelievably generous and kind. And all sizes, Glenn, all sizes. So I have the little petite thoroughbreds or the big giant ones, and anything in between, I have a boot for them, and that is just unbelievably kind, and I just can't thank you enough.
Right. Thank you. Well, we've done really well with the little minis as well, because they go into therapy homes for old folks and PTSD, and they have the traction now with these Cavallo boots, of course. And we've just finalized our last prototype for the donkeys and the mules. So hopefully that'll be out at the beginning of 2025 as well. So we want to, and the other one is these Bigfoot boots, like these big draft horses. They need all the help they can get.
You should see them, Jamie. They're enormous. They're like pie plates.
Yeah.
They're enormous.
Cheese plates. I know.
When they first came out with those, I went, wow, that's a big boot. That is a big boot. Carol, as you know, I've used them.
I think we've got the whole range covered. Yeah.
Even Hackney ponies. My Hackney pony, as you know, I've used your boots for ever since we've known each other, probably almost 20 years now. And I've used the boots forever, and
it's
still
amazing, eh? I like saying decades instead of years. It sounds like less.
We really have known each other for a long time, and my pony, driving pony, still uses his boots every time we go out. So,
yeah. Well, to that too, Glenn. I mean, and thank you for all you do and your help, spreading the news, because obviously it's working for a lot of horses, and it's taking them out of pain and discomfort and protecting their feet. And I mean, we get these stories every day. People come in and just tell us that Cavallo has saved their horses' lives.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, and I appreciate you coming on to talk about it, and thank you for what you guys do and your generosity, and just being there supporting the horses. It's awesome.
Right. And some of the most amazing things that are happening now, because I mean, it used to be the backyard horse owner and, just the average rider. And now we've got Olympic gold medalists. We've got all kinds of competitive horses riding barefoot and using Cavallo boots. So it's really starting to grow. And I know that with this new Conti boot with the sensors, it's really going to open it up to the competition market. And these are the horses who really need some help too, because they work so hard.
Well, you come back
So
on.
the whole industry, I mean, we had no idea 20 years ago whether this, I mean, I was so committed, but I had no idea. And we worked really hard. But I'm going to say, Glenn and Jamie, that the tipping point really only came about 5 years ago, where this is really starting, people are really starting to understand that they don't need to put the metal shoes on 24/7, and that hoof boots, our Cavallo hoof boots, provide so much more protection and comfort.
What's the website,
It's
Carole?
just a no-brainer, but sorry?
What's the website? Where people can buy it?
Oh, Cavallo-Inc. Yeah, Cavallo-Inc.com.
Very good. Thank you for
Yeah.
joining us, and
And,
thank
you
you
know,
for helping
we-
me surprise Jamie.
Jamie, the best to you, and Glenn too. Thanks so much for the call.
All right, bye, Carole.
Thank you.
Okay, love. Bye.
She's the sweetest. She really is. I've actually
You're
had
so
dinner with them a
sneaky.
bunch and spent some time with them, and she is so passionate about what she does. And that comes across, obviously. But that new sensor boot that they're working with a tire company on is going to be incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know what I do need is a AirTag GPS tracker on the boots, because I'm pretty sure one is in my pond from
There you go.
Janet. When Janet let me borrow them, I'm like, sorry.
There you go. Well, one other story before we get to our next guest is you have a story out of our friends at Old Friends.
I do. This is so cool. I was such a big fan of this horse, and I am such a big fan of this horse. His name is Big Brown, and he won the Derby and the Preakness. I think it was in 2008. And he's been shuttled all over the world in
Wasn't he in
stud duties.
Japan or something?
Yeah, I think so. Or Australia. I don't know. He's been everywhere. I mean, I lost track of him because he's just been so prolific as a sire and has done really well. And they decided to pension him. And he now has gone to live at Old Friends. I'm so excited. I mean, Glenn, this is how excited I was. So we called it the Big Brown Derby Day party. And then we had the Big Brown Preakness party. And then we had the Big Brown Belmont Bash. I mean, come on. I had like cookie cakes with Big Brown. I was a super fan. And so that's really cool. I can't wait to go visit him in April in Kentucky. I'm really excited about that. Now, the other thing I saw, which it might have been a fever dream at this point because I can't find the information after this, but in the middle of the night, in my lack of sleep, scrolling through my phone at 3 a.m, I saw somewhere that Cosmic One also went to Old Friends. And I saw that, and this morning I was like, I need to confirm that. And I went looking for it and I can't find it anywhere. So potentially Cosmic One, Zenyatta's firstborn, is also at Old Friends.
Well,
I can't find the proof of that.
We'll find out. I asked John to come on, who is our friend who runs Old Friends, and he's getting married on Friday, and he thought that was more important than coming on our show.
I really think that, weddings aren't until nighttime.
Yeah, he's
Like,
got his
what's the-
priorities all wrong. I agree. But
Uh-huh.
he's also going to be on a honeymoon. So in a couple of weeks, he's going to come on and tell us what's going on over at Old Friends.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, congratulations, John. I'm very happy for you. John's such a good guy. He's been John Nicholson, who ran the Kentucky Horse Park when we first met him, when we started this show, has
Yeah.
been one of our biggest supporters since day one in 2010. So
Yeah. And the fact that he runs Old Friends now is just the coolest thing. I mean, just awesome. And I went to visit him in April when I was there for the 3-day, and he was just incredibly generous with his time, did an interview with me, took me around the farm, just super awesome guy. So congratulations on getting married.
when we had our store, Jamie, one of the things we did was we tried to get rid of all the leftover blankets from the previous winter season in the spring, but sometimes you don't get rid of them all. So in the fall, you try and get rid of last year's models because one thing that blankets do in a warehouse is they take up a lot of room. They take up so much room. Blankets are the most space-taking things that you're going to put in your tack shop. So that's what's happening right now at State Line Tack. They're having a sale, a pre-blank season blanket sale, which means they're getting rid of last year's models. And there's only a certain quantity in stock, but there's 3 pages of them. And some of these I'm seeing here are marked 55% off. They have they have all Defenders. That they have a Defender Platinum 1200 denier turnout sheet for $98. They have the Titaniums. They have Gatsby's. They have all different brands here that you're going to find in all different sizes, but there's very limited in stock. So head on it right now to statelinetack.com. Don't wait. Go today to statelinetack.com and see if you can find one in your size. They even have Gatsby mini sheets, which are the cutest things ever. So they have 3 pages right now at statelinetack.com.
Well, I am pleased to welcome to the show Tom Perischino. He is the Director of Equine Welfare for the ASPCA and also works with the Right Horse Initiative and also is an Oklahoma, I guess I call him an Okie. Hi, Tom.
Hey, Jamie, how are you doing? Yes, a proud Okie, I have to say.
Yeah, so you are involved, obviously, in the big picture, you're kind of a big deal, but also you focus a lot of time on a rescue here in Oklahoma City. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so the ASPCA, let me kind of back up if I can, not to get too wordy on this, but kind of back up if I can. We formally established our equine welfare department back in 2018 with 3 specific kind of missions in mind. 1 were safety net services, 2 increase adoptions of horses, and 3 improve our response to disasters and law enforcement and things like that. We don't need to talk about that one today, even though our hearts go out to the folks in North Carolina and where the hurricane was, and we do have a team out there, but really focusing on safety net and adoptions is what we're trying to do here in Oklahoma. So as part of that, we started with what we referred to as our regional support center. It was a little test pilot that we did down in the North Texas area. And we wanted to see if we could help owners improve welfare of horses in the North Texas area by offering services to owners who needed, and we would determine if that horse was a good candidate for rehoming, and we would move it to a rehoming partner. In other cases, owners would call, they hit a hump in their life, maybe they've got some medical bills going on, or they are on a fixed income, they've lost a job, something happened. But if we could get them over that hump, they've got this horse that got into a situation, maybe it, as we all know, horses do crazy things when we can least afford it. Tried to jump a fence, got a gash. The owner calls us and says, I need a little help with some medical expense. But if I can get that, I can keep my horse. So we offered those types of services as well. We did that for about 6 months in the North Texas area. We helped about 60 horses during that time. Then we rolled up. We wanted to kind of look at the data. We wanted to test what we learned in another market. So we came to Oklahoma. We operated that same model in the Oklahoma City area, Jamie, for about 3 or 4 years. And we realized the horses that were candidates for rehoming that we were sending to partners were getting stuck. They were longer lengths of stays. They had some behavioral issues that needed to be addressed, or they had a lack of training that needed to be addressed. So in 2021, we added a training and behavior component along with a marketing and adoption component to the work that we were doing, and we officially became the Equine Transition and Adoption Center. So what we do, we still offer safety net services for people in the community, which is a lot of our work, but we also take horses in, and we will work with a subset of those horses that might be deemed harder to adopt at a rescue. We work with them, we learn, we try to unlock what's going on in the mind or training wise with these horses. And then we share it out with communities, with our right horse partners across the country, all with an aim to try to bring these resources to horses and owners, no matter where they live across the country. So the cool part, back to the Okie thing for me, is, we're doing all this really important work. We've passed 700 horses since we started doing this work in Oklahoma since 2019. That's a lot of horses. And the really cool part is we're incubating these programs, and we're learning how to market horses in transition. We're learning how to tear down barriers to adoption, to popularize adoptions of horses. And we're learning how to unlock the mystery when horses come in with certain behavioral problems or certain, training issues or lack of training, including if that's a human who needs a little bit of training. to try to help these horses transition more smoothly, more efficiently, and give them the options that they need. So that's what we're doing here in Oklahoma. Really, our hope, our vision is that no matter where a horse is, no matter where an owner is, if they need help, they'll be able to get that help, and they know where to turn to in a moment of need, just like you can with dogs and cats.
Well, the reason I contacted you initially was to talk about the situation that I faced, which was I went to a livestock auction, and the amount of holy hell and terror that was inside this building of this livestock auction was incapacitating for my emotions, like my heart. And so ended up saving one out of the auction. And after seeing that, I just want to know, like, what can be done about a situation like this? Because people are just cramming horses that are lame and crippled and old or drugged or whatever they've done to these poor animals and running them through these auctions. And I feel like it's like in every town. And, you've got organizations that start with the letter P that are complaining about Olympic horses. And I'm like, look in your freaking backyard for what's going on around there. So what is the ASPCA's kind of thought about these things?
Yeah. So it's an unfortunate situation. And what I don't want to do is like vilify all auctions, because not all auctions are equal. There are definitely good auctions out there. However, I think what you experienced is a lower end auction that feeds into this kill pen, the horse slaughter market. And whether we like to talk about it or not, and it is a very divisive issue in the horse industry, the slaughter market is. These auctions have been around for a long time, and they have been a way for an owner who doesn't have any other resources to take a horse that they can no longer keep or no longer afford or no longer fits their lifestyle and get rid of that horse. That has been the option. What we're doing now is giving these owners other options. We're out here and we're like, do not take your horse to auction. You don't know any vetting of that horse. You don't know the behavioral issues of that horse, or when people go to buy, I'm talking about. We want to be there when an owner needs to relinquish a horse. Rather than taking your horse to auction, bring your horse to us. Let us do an evaluation on it and let us help determine what the next steps would be. I've been to that auction too. I know which one you went to. I've been to that auction too. And I think, one of the things that we're trying to work on in addition, because I saw some horses there that probably could have best been helped by compassionate euthanasia, not being run through a sale ring. So it's about resources. And I think those of us who love these horses, and I've been around horses my entire life, I've worked in the horse industry my entire life. I love them to their core, which is why I'm doing the work that I'm doing now. But let's figure out what those resources are. Can we provide community-supported, compassionate euthanasia and let owners know that it's available? That's one part of the program that we have going on here in Oklahoma. And often it's not the euthanasia that costs money. It's the disposal of a 1,000, 1,100 pound horse that costs money. But rather than taking your horse there and letting it endure a grueling trip somewhere, or an unsuspecting owner who wants to purchase their next horse picks up this horse and finds out it's got all these medical issues or it's very aged, and the kindest thing we could do for it would be to provide compassionate euthanasia for it. Let's try to set up these resources in communities and give those owners alternatives and make darn sure that they know those alternatives are there. On the flip side, when people want to purchase a horse, let's popularize adoptions. MyRedHorse.org is our adoption platform, and I always love to promote it and tell people to go out there. These are horses that have come into our partner rescues. They're vetted. They've had trainers evaluate them or add additional training skills to them. They've been assessed from a behavior standpoint. Let's encourage people and let's popularize adoptions and tell people, go check out these horses. We've got a lot of good ones. We've got some great ones here at Tack, our Equine Transition and Adoption Center, but there's great ones all across the country. that are transitioning, they do incredible things. And then I'll hush a second, but like we just had the Western Dressage Association World Championships right here in Oklahoma. There were Western dressage horses at the top level that came from rescues, that were adopted from rescues. Athenian Lady was there competing. So these are horses that, if you just want to love one as a companion in the pasture, or if you want to go out on a trail ride on the weekend and enjoy it, or if you want to find an appropriate level at a show competition, I promise you're going to be able to find one if we can help prospective owners turn their attention to adoption and not the auction where we just don't know what we're getting.
No, you don't. And again, I go in with a fairly educated, appropriate level of knowledge to what I was going in for and possibly going to get. And unfortunately, I will have to euthanize my horse. I spoke to a friend of mine and she's actually used your services before. If you need to euthanize a horse, you can contact y'all and you will help with it, the disposal and the veterinary care and everything that's required, which that was really cool. But Tom, here's what I propose. Okay, here's what we're going to do. You and me, we're going to get a big giant empty trailer and we're going to park outside the Jones auction and we're going to have a sign that says, instead of doing that to your horse, give it to us. And then we're going to take it and we're going to figure out what to do with it. I just don't know any other way, because the kill pens, all the horses in the kill pens, you people, they come from places like this. Okay. So when you're buying a kill pen horse, you're triple paying for a horse that you could have just saved at the auction. Or instead of that, go adopt a horse, which sounds like it's like adopting a dog. They're spayed, they're neutered, they're fixed. They've got their shots, and that's kind of one of the cool things about adoption. I mean, obviously I promote adoption through Horse and Hound and work closely with them. I'm getting 4 in today from Horse and Hound, which is going to be so exciting. Cavallo Boots just sent me a huge donation of hoof boots for all these horses. Like, I'm just they're such an incredible organization, and I'm proud to be a part of all of it. But Tom, what do you think? Maybe next Saturday you and I just go park outside.
Yeah, well, that's interesting that you would say that. That is exactly how this program got its start, believe it or not. We followed a right horse partner around the country to a series of one-day pop-up shelters that were, in some cases done right next to the low-end local auction. And she put out a sign and said, bring your horse to me. And that is exactly how this program worked. And we thought, you know what? Rather than being in a location for one day, next Saturday, Tom and Jamie at the Jones auction, let's see what we can do if we're in a community for a sustained period of time. So that's literally how our program got started, and how we're feeding our right horse partners out there with all of the good work that we're doing. The other thing I just want to say about adoption, and this, and I think Nelda does kick butt work out there in Guthrie, and I'm so proud of her every single time I see her and the work that they're doing at Horse and Hound. But think about this: when people adopt, let's just say when they adopt, let's say that adoption doesn't work out for some reason. Maybe it wasn't a good fit. Maybe an owner's expectations changed or something. The lovely thing about adoption is that horse has a lifetime safety net to always go back, not just to where it was adopted, but to any one of our right horse partners. So let's say an owner moved from Guthrie to California and they need to relinquish that horse. They can take that horse to our right horse partner in the state of California, and we will work with them to get that horse. Yes, every horse that's adopted from a right horse partner has a lifetime safety net. If for whatever reason you need assistance with that horse, including, let's say you keep that horse for 20 years and it's come to an end of life decision time. If you can't afford an end of life option for that horse, we will help you with that option. That's the difference between adopting in a safe environment and going, to an illicit low-end auction that is nothing more than the equine equivalent of a puppy mill. You're just feeding, evil work when you go there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I did not know that, because I one of the things I do tell people when we adopted one out of my farm, usually I send them back so she can handle all that. And I just deal with horses. But these people came out and adopted one last week from my house. And that is one thing I always tell people. I'm like, listen, When you adopt this horse, for the rest of this horse's life, it has a place to go. If anything happens, if you don't love it, it doesn't work out, if you can't afford it anymore, it can go back. I did not know that was available for all partnerships. And I know that the sweet lady in California who adopted one and returned it is kicking herself right now because she shipped it all the way back to us on her own dime. Sweetest lady in the world. But now we know that you can just find a right horse partner and all of that go. Because I do know that Nelda has taken in a couple horses that weren't thoroughbreds. And now I know why. It's all coming together.
They can
really
just reach
great.
out to us and we're happy to try to help them, get connected to a right horse partner in their area. And then we'll usually open up the conversation. It just happened with us. We had a horse that we did out in Michigan. We have a horse adoption express. So people who live out of state can adopt from us and we can help them get that horse to their pasture or their barn. This happened with somebody up in Michigan. They wanted a horse we had here in Oklahoma. Their life changed and they needed to relinquish the horse. Well, rather than the horse coming from Michigan all the way back to Oklahoma, we just contacted our partner, Horses Haven, up in Michigan. She was more than happy to take him in, and happy news, he's been adopted again. So that's the lovely thing, I think, about a partnership and the collaborative that is the force behind the right horse is all of these organizations putting their shoulder into this work, putting their heads together, and really trying to improve the rescue community in an effort to popularize adoptions for people. So, it's cool. It's really cool.
Tom, I know nobody believes me when I say this, but 30 years ago, I had an investment office at the corner of the parking lot of the New Holland auction, literally in the corner of the parking lot. So I was there for 15 years in that corner of the parking lot. Believe it or not, the auctions are better today than they were then. And I know that's hard to believe, Jamie, but oh my God, Tom knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
It was just crazy. I mean, it's not good. I mean, everything you said is true. It's just so hard.
I see, but I grew up in Atlanta and we had an auction that was north of Atlanta and you would go there and I mean, people were invested in selling their horses and so I thought this one was going to be kind of like that. No, it was definitely not.
There are a lot like that. We used to go to an auction like that in Pennsylvania where, where we bought a lot of horses and it was just average people like us buying and selling horses. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I don't want to vilify all auctions because I do think they can still fill a niche in the equine industry. So I don't want to vilify all of them, but there are some of these at the low end that do nothing more. It's, in our vernacular, it's a dumping ground for people who don't know or don't have another option, unfortunately. And then these unsuspecting buyers go in there and buy, a horse that has a lot of issues going on and they don't know it. Those are the ones that, they need to go away. They give all auctions a bad name.
One of the auctions, I got to end on this. One of the auctions that I went to that was more high end was, believe it or not, an Amish auction. And I have never seen so much money being spent on driving horses in my life. These horses they were buying off the track for $50,000 to $100,000 to be their driving horses. It was craziest thing I've ever seen. I just couldn't. I could not believe it. And of course, they're paying cash with their big wads of money in their pocket. It was just crazy. It was nuts.
Well, I would like to say, if anybody is considering adoption, there are a lot of rescues, but there's only one right horse. So if you are going to find a rescue to use, I mean, Tom, you've been a perfect ad for your organization because there are so many more resources if you go through a reputable rescue. So look for things like TAA, look for things like right horse, the stamps of approval on these rescues, because otherwise some rescues may not be much more than the Jones auction, so just make sure you do your research, look for the accreditations. And Tom, give out your website.
Yeah, it's myrighthorse.org is where you can go and you can search any of our 60 plus partners if you're looking to adopt a horse. You can also go to aspca.org and just click on the equine welfare button if you want to learn about the equine work that we're doing and how we're using Oklahoma as an incubator to push out these really, really cool programs.
Awesome.
So or just call us. Our telephone number is there too. We always love talking to people. So
Well, thanks for all the help with Horse and Hound, and I know she's applying for grants and trying to make more magic happen out there. Just grow. So thank you very much.
Love
Thanks
it.
for coming on.
Thanks for your good work too.
I'm here with the mad scientist who developed Daily Dose equine horse feeds, Janet Geyer, and I wanted to have a quick chat with you because Daily Dose equine horse feeds are non-GMO whole food nutrition based. And a lot of people go, oh, that comes from a small dedicated feed mill. I won't be able to get that when I travel. They're wrong, aren't they?
They are. You can get it through Chewy anywhere in the United States. Or if you live locally in Maryland and Northern Virginia, you can get it delivered.
There you go. Chewy.com. It will deliver it anywhere you want. You can also schedule delivery in advance so you can have it delivered every X number of days. And you can go in there to your account and change it every time you move horse show venues. So check it out today, dailydoseequine.com online or chewy.com.
As horse owners, we spend a lot of time on the road. Let US Rider help keep you covered. Our equestrian motor plan offers fast, reliable, nationwide service from our highly trained roadside assistance team. 24/7 coverage for both you and your horse. Membership includes horse trailer servicing, towing, flat tire repair, even on dual wheels, battery assistance, and lockout service on any vehicle in your plan. We also have your equine companions covered with referrals for emergency vet services, farrier referrals, and emergency stabling assistance. Get peace of mind on the road for you and your horse. Join US Rider today.
Time to learn why some days you're embarrassed to be part of the human race. In Jamie's Weird News.
Oh, we got some varieties for you today, Glenn, and I'm going to let you choose the order of how I read them. Okay, but first of all, if you're ever looking through the news, wherever you get it, Facebook, internet, whatever you're doing, and you see a story that you're like, oh, that is super weird, email it to me, Jamie@horseradionetwork.com with weird news in the subject line, just like Angela, Claire, Lindsay, Katie, Charlotte, another Lindsay, William, Shelley, and Janelle all did this week. And so, Glenn, here's the question. Light and fluffy? Or kind of gross.
We need light and fluffy today.
Okay, but you're going to get
grossed
four.
out.
You're going to get two of each. Do you want to bookend it, or do you want to?
You're asking for. Let's do gross. Let's get gross out and end in light and fluffy.
Oh, I didn't see that coming. All right. Well, let's start with this one. This is in Shropshire at the Drayton Market, Branson, in Shropshire. I can't say that. England. So there's a mom, and she put her kids down to bed, and she and her husband decided to run out and get some food. They didn't want to cook. So they went to, where else would you go when you want a good meal? Where'd they go? That's right, McDonald's.
Oh,
so
I was going to guess
McDonald's.
Waffle House.
Yeah, this is England. It's England. So there's a McDonald's there. So she goes and they go into the restaurant and they're just having like a nice little like romantic McDonald's meal. And she said, I ordered the chicken wrap of the day meal. I've had it before and I was just getting to liking them. Oh, no. But I won't be eating at McDonald's again.
Oh, no.
I'll continue to read her quotes. I got literally 2 or 3 bites from the bottom, and I felt a crunch in my mouth.
Oh, no.
I thought it was a piece of chicken, but I didn't know. I spat it out and was in silence for a few minutes. My husband asked me what was wrong, so I asked him to have a look at the wrap and clarify what it was because I was absolutely mortified.
Please tell me it wasn't a finger.
He said, remember, she crunched it. He said, that's a snail. And she said,
escargot in her sandwich?
I didn't know what to do. I didn't know whether to run to the sink and throw up or be angry. It was in my mouth. I crunched it. It squished.
People pay good money for escargot.
I instantly spat it out and out came the snail. It made me feel so disgusted and violated. She does say that, you know what? She's not going to go back to that McDonald's ever again.
No kidding. I gotta
Can you
say
imagine
that I'm really
crunching
glad
a
it wasn't a
sting-
finger. I was expecting a finger.
I should undersell and then over deliver because I've done really weird ones that like you always think it's more, but I still think that crunching on a snail and having it squish in your mouth is horrible.
Yeah, I guess usually escargot doesn't include the shell. So there's that.
Yeah, no, he doesn't.
Okay, I got through that one. I'm good there.
You're good.
One more.
I'm going to save the best for last. So you're not going to get that one to the end. I lied. You're going to have to just wait. So let's start with this one. There's a family that they lost their pet. Okay. They're in, I feel like I've done this story before, but the date was that it was just this past week. And this is in Rio de Janeiro. And this family had a pet tortoise named Manuela. So Manuela was their pet tortoise, and they were having some electrical work done, and it went missing 30 years ago.
Wow.
So 30 years, they lost their turtle. They're like, okay, well, that sucks. We lost our turtle. And they went on, living their life, knowing that their turtle was gone. Well, then the patriarch of the family passed away, and they decided to go up into the attic and start looking through his belongings. Well, they found Manuela. 30 years after Manuela disappeared, Manuela is back. They were like, it's alive? Do you know that this type of tortoise lives for 255 years?
They live a long time. Your turtles live a long time.
Yeah. So they said that she probably had been eating just bugs and termite larvae. And since there wasn't much water around, she likely got her moisture intake from the insects as well. But they took Manuela, rushed her to the vet. They're like, oh my God, it's our turtle. It's our turtle. Tortoise. We found our tortoise. And vet's like, okay, what, fill out the paperwork, write down the name. Manuela is the name. And he's like, you might want to change it to, well, it's a boy. So it turns out their female tortoise changed or was the wrong gender the entire time. So I just thought that was a weird story. Here's another little happy story for you, Glenn. An adorable dog. It looks like a golden retriever, like a senior golden retriever. And this is in Jukudo, South Korea, in the Sea of Japan. And it's on an island. And the Google Maps photographer you can't drive around the island. I guess it's more like hiking trails. And so the Google Maps photographer, and I need to go look this up because it sounds awesome. So again, it's the island of Jukdo. It's adjacent to Ungudo.
Yeah, we all know what that is.
Obviously, destination spot. So anyway, on this island, this Google Maps photographer is going around. This freaking dog followed him the entire time. So this sweet dog named Maru is the island's unofficial guide dog, having lived there for 7 years and is in every street view picture that they took on Google Earth because it just went with him. Like, oh, you're going to walk around? Cool. I'll go. So they're saying that Maru is known to be super friendly to tourists and locals. And so you can go on Google Earth and there's a lot of still shots where he's leading the way or she's following behind. And it's so cute. This little dog just walking along the whole thing. Just hey guys, let's go this way. Cool. Okay. I'm sorry. I love dogs. I love dogs.
See, that's a cute story. That's a good story for today.
Oh, just sit down. Here it comes. All right, we're going to go to China, and it's a place called Nanning, China. See,
there's
International
never
North Florida.
Not gross stories that come out of China. All the China stories are gross. Why is that?
I can't answer, but what happened was construction workers were conducting a pressure test on a newly installed pipe, and it was a sewage pipe, and they were doing a pressure test. What could possibly go wrong? Well, the pipe exploded. Nobody was hurt. obviously it wouldn't be a weird news story if I wouldn't report it if people died or got hurt. Nobody got hurt. I mean, emotionally, a lot of people are scarred because what happened in the aftermath of the explosion is what they're calling human excreta blasted 33 feet into the air. Human waste shooting up 33 feet. It looks like Old Faithful in these pictures, okay?
You'd think they would test that with just water and not...
Unsuspecting pedestrians were left soaked from head to toe. Also, motorists, pedestrians were forced to then navigate. It covered pets. It covered buildings. It covered humans. It covered everything. They had to shut down the town. There were comments. A viral dash cam video clip shows cars passing by the explosion, and their windshield gets completely smeared in, I was almost said a bad word, smeared in human waste following the billowing explosion. It's called a billowing explosion, Glenn. It blinded the driver of the car as the human waste swept right across the windshield, and they had to use wiper blades to get the poop off.
I have a question for you. How many showers do you have to take? It's more than one, I can tell you that.
Unbelievable. And the comments that people posted underneath this, I can't read out loud because there's a lot of potty words, no pun intended. But yeah, 33-foot geyser of human feces. There's pictures. It looks like there's some sort of fire coming out of the manhole area that they were testing, and it's just like this ginormous tornado looking furious wet human waste shooting into the sky. I don't know what else to say, but enjoy that. You'll never be okay after that.
I guess the test didn't work. Failed.
I guess not. But the picture, I can see 1, 2, 3 cars driving by, 1 truck, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people on mopeds.
Oh no.
Driving right in.
I'd have to burn that too. Hey, we're going to end on a different story. Did you get the one? Did anybody send you the one about this 6-year-old boy that was kidnapped in 1951? In California. So this boy, his name was Lewis. He and his brother were at a park with mom, and mom turns around, to do something or whatever. That was before cell phones, so we can't even blame that. This is February 2nd of 1951, a park in California. And apparently a woman grabbed the 6-year-old. The brother witnessed the whole thing, grabbed the 6-year-old, threw him in a car, and disappeared. And they had a massive manhunt, and they searched, and they spent, weeks and weeks and weeks searching and the whole thing. And mom kind of had a feeling all her life that this boy was alive, and she died back in like 2005, and she still believed to her dying day that this boy was alive, even though it'd be old now. It's 70 years later. And the niece, after the mom died, said, I'm not giving up on this. And a couple of years ago, submitted her DNA to one of the DNA places and got a match out of the East Coast. So she went to the police and said, can you research this? I can't find this person. Can you research it? Because I think this person might be the kidnapped kid. And sure enough, the police researched it, found Lewis on the East Coast. Apparently, this woman had stolen him, drove him to the East Coast, and sold him to a family on the East Coast.
What?
And they found him. He was still alive. He made a trip out to California to visit his whole family he didn't even know he had. Because I don't know what story, it didn't come out what story he was told, about why he was being taken from his mom. But you can tell a 6-year-old.
How many years was he
70
gone?
years later. 73 years later, they found him. And he was so excited. He met his brother, his older brother, for the first time. Now, keep in mind, he's old,
How old was he when he was kidnapped?
6. So he's in his 80s. And his brother was even older, so he met his brother. His brother died shortly after, like a couple weeks later, but they said his brother died happy knowing that his younger brother... Because remember, he's the one that's witnessed it, and apparently the police questioned him over and over and over again, and he kept saying it was this woman with a scarf that took him. But there's your happy story for the day. He was.
No, that is not happy.
Well, I mean, it was happy in that they
bought
found
somebody
him.
else's child. So basically,
He was
just
alive.
learned that his parents were actually kidnappers that purchased him basically off the black market, and his whole entire life is a lie. And he's missed out on his whole entire family, and he never got to.
But
see
apparently,
his
he had a
mother
wife and
again.
kids and grandkids, and lived a happy life where he was. The happy part of this is he wasn't dead. I mean, that was the
Yeah.
happy part of this.
Sure. I'm going to go with, oh my God. I would be like digging my mother up to pee on her grave. Like, what? You can't, purchased me
Yeah.
from a kidnapper? Oh my God. Maybe the mom who bought him didn't know that was the
and nothing's
case.
come out about that yet. I'm sure the police are investigating that. I don't know if there's a, statute of limitations on
Statute
this.
of
I don't know.
limitations.
But,
oh my God.
But yeah, it was an amazing story. And you know what? There you go. A DNA again is the thing that solved it.
I know. I did a DNA test and I called my brother and I was like, hey, I just did a DNA test. Am I going to ping for a bunch of nieces and nephews somewhere?
And
He's
did
like,
you?
Not yet. But he wouldn't do the test.
There you go. All right, everybody. Auditors, hang on. We're going to hang out with you for a minute or two, but we got a lot going on today between
I
the
got
two of us.
4 horses coming
Yeah,
in a few minutes. So,
All right, so just hang out, auditors. We'll be right with you.
spay, neuter, and geld. Oh, I got a story to tell you.